Namaste and greetings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I'm Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founding minister and spiritual director. If you ever have questions about who I am, who we are, what we do, what is Spiritually Integrated Arts, what is a teaching center, what is Centers for Spiritual Living, what is metaphysical spirituality, what is New Thought, Science of Mind and Spirit, how do I become a member? How can I support, tithe, and donate? All of these questions and so many more. Send an email. You have two options. SIAADMIN, Spiritually Integrated Arts, admin at spirituallyintegratederarts.org, or spirituallyintegratederarts@gmail.com. Either of those will work. You can also visit our website, www.spirituallyintegratederarts.org. Now, you may be wondering, where else can I find and follow? There are several other social media platforms that you can also subscribe and follow. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel, where you can also find all of our Sunday messages and more. I look forward to hearing from you soon. I look forward to you being a part of this beloved community. Because we are a virtual community, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. This can also be your spiritual community, because you can have more than one. Anywhere that you feel supported, anywhere you are spiritually fed is home, is community, is relationship. So I look forward to dialoguing more, conversing more, getting to know you. Much love and appreciation. Live long and prosper. Chat with you soon. Take care. Namaste and greetings, and welcome to our final Sunday in August. As usual, be mindful that after our Sunday message, we tend to gather in the Zoom Fellowship Hall to converse and chat about all kinds of things. And so for September, starting next week, we will begin the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. Make note. If you do not already have the Zoom link, send an email to either of the two email addresses that you see on your screen. The Zoom link will be sent to you, and you can join in the fellowship and get to know folks and have in-depth conversation about what's going on in the world, where's Beyonce touring now, and all other things. Everything is fair game in terms of what we might be discussing. Do you already have access to the website? Do you know the website? Are you already following us on social media? If not, make note of the website, share it with others. Same thing for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and share widely with others, so more people can join this beloved community and we can share and grow together, so that we can communicate and collaborate with all manner of people and spiritual paths, so that we can actively and consciously create a world that works for all. Also, note at the bottom of the screen, you will see two QR codes. One is for Givelify, if that is your preferred method of tithing or donating. The other, PayPal, if that is your preferred method. If neither of these work for you, then remember those two email addresses? Send an email and request, how can I, if you want to send a check, how can I send a check or a money order, or how can I do this or that, if you have another method of preferred payment, preferred tithing, preferred offering so that we can do all of the vast things that this beloved community is seeking to do, such as create a theater company that focuses on the spiritual aspect of storytelling, create a film company to work on film and television treatments regarding the spirituality of storytelling through that medium, as well as do documentaries on such things as the creation of new thought and where new thought is going. Or is new thought actually old thought or old new thought? Ooh, what a concept. Are we practicing old new thought? Or are we ready to actually? So, yes, all of this and so much more. A youth and family aspect of the community, and so much more. Sacred activism, and so much more. So, if this is something that you feel fed by, then I invite you to offer your tithes and your donations. Now, currently, during the week, on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, we have two different opportunities to engage in the material that we offer. On Wednesday night, facilitated by me, we have the Science of Mind and Spirit discussion group from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we discuss all things related to science of mind and spirit. What is it? How do we practice it? How do we make it a way of life? How is it relevant for us in our lives and the collective? On Thursday night, same time, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, facilitated by Tracy Rhymes, the study group that goes over the questions that I end every Sunday message with. Very lively conversation about the thought provoking questions that people are left with at the end of every Sunday message. And if this is your first time, you will see what I am referring to when we get towards the end. Also, coming soon, starting, and that's actually supposed to be, I'm just pausing for a second. Yes, August 28th. At the end of this month, we will begin From Whence We Came, which is a new thought, a science of mind history class. So it doesn't matter what your thoughts or feelings about history may be. This is a perfect opportunity to dive in, to further your studies, to get grounded in the roots of the foundation of our teaching. Note the required text materials, note the early bird registration, note the regular registration. If you want more information on this 10-week course, feel free to send an email. Once again, either of those two email addresses that you just saw recently, and more information can be provided. This class will be taught by yours truly, and I'm looking forward to all of the possibilities that we will extrapolate from the idea of from the roots comes the trunk, comes the branches, the leaves, and the fruit. But we've got to be firm on what does it mean to understand our history so that we can understand where we are going and why we are going in the direction we are going. Now, if you are ready for our final Sunday message of the month, passionately living your purposes, still putting an S on there, out loud. The universe does not make mistakes. And often we say such things as we are here by divine appointment. We are here to add to the expansion of consciousness in the world. We are the perfect co-creators with, note that it's in italics and red, because that implies duality, that we are with spirit versus we are spirit incarnating. But it's linguistic purposes for the time being. We are the perfect co-creators with spirit. We are the perfect creators as spirit. This synergy accentuates our unique passions and purposes in the world. It is indeed our spirit infused responsibility to share our time, talents, treasures authentically and joyfully. We all have purposes which become more evident as we listen to the inner guidance, intuition, and our awareness, our consciousness. Now, due to our limited time in this present physical form, which begins at birth, ends at death. And in that time frame between birth and death, we are here to share these gifts. We are here to seize the day, to make the most of every day, the most of every moment as best we can, to live out loud, to step boldly and courageously, authentically, transparently, passionately, and consciously into our lives, into our life experience creatively. Breathe. Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen says, without you, infinite potential remains just that, potential. It stays unformed possibility. It is you who are needed by life for its potential to take form. Ink pen, sheet of paper. Until I start writing my autobiography or my memoir, the pen and the paper as they are right now, simply the infinite potential to write, to craft anything, poetry, an amazing work of fiction, an amazing work of nonfiction, a spiritual treatise about new thought, whatever it is, right now, unlimited, infinite potential. The process needs me to actively and consciously begin to allow it to take form. That's no different than any other aspect of our lives. Whatever it is, you want a degree, you want a certification, you want a license, you want a particular skill. Whatever it is, you want to change consciousness as it relates to the ills in the world. Whatever it is, unlimited potential, unlimited possibility exists. But we must act. We must move and act so that it can take form. Now, what is this that you see? Watch it and be careful. What does it look like? Well, maybe I shouldn't ask it that way. But nonetheless, the question is, what do you suppose this is and what can this become? Well, I don't know what it can become if I don't know what it is. Is that lumps of fudge? Lumps of chocolate? Is it poop? I don't know what that is. So if I don't know what it is, I don't know what it can become. But the moment I know what it is, then the moment I know what it can possibly become. And in the becoming of it, be mindful that there is a mess. There is a mess in writing. There is a mess in pottery. There is a mess in painting. There is a mess in relationships. There is a messiness that is part of the creative process. And we are invited to dive all in. Don't shy away from it, because in the process of going into it is how we create the form. It's how we create whatever we are desiring to take shape. No matter what it is in our lives, trying to avoid, imagine for a moment there's a potter, if we could even call them that. There's a person who desires to learn how to make pottery, but they really don't want to get dirty. They don't want clay all over their hands. Can you do effective work with gloves? I don't know. I've never seen anyone make pottery while wearing gloves. Interesting. Can you effectively type or write whatever the work of art is without ever using the eraser or whatever it is, without making the messiness of, oh, it's a run-on sentence, or oh, I've got to erase and got to blow the little rubbery perfectionism. So if we want a certain something to come into form, then one, we have to know what it is we are working with. What is our mental equivalent? What are our spiritual resources, emotional resources, intellectual resources, physical, financial, whatever? What are our resources? What do we have that we can use to create a world that works for all? To create a life where I actively forgive so that I am not carrying the baggage and trauma of. Whatever it is, we have to know what we are working with. What is our foundation and what are our mental equivalents? What are we working with? What kind of clay is needed to create porcelain teaware? What kind of clay is needed to create earthenware? What kind of clay is needed for sculpting a statue? Whatever it is, we have to know what we are working with. And when we talk about this idea of divine appointment, which it's linguistic convenience because there is nothing outside of us choosing now is the time, right? There's this thing that is our own innate inspiration, our innate enthusiasm, our innate, our all-nate divinity. And the moment you choose whatever it is you are choosing, that is the divine appointment. You're choosing to go to college or back to college. That's your divine appointment. That's you, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. That is your divinity that is expressing in through and as you, choosing now is the time. But see, the thing is, we can get our phone and, oh, I've got an appointment. Hold on, let me put it in my phone and save it. Put the reminder, set the reminder. Okay. And then whenever it shows up, oh, there's a reminder. It's that alarm, silence or snooze. See, just because there's an appointment doesn't mean we're going to follow through. Just because there's an appointed time that we know it's time to wake up. No, snooze bar. The time to eat. I don't feel like cooking right now. Just because there is an appointed whatever doesn't. Our invitation then is be actively engaged. So when the call comes, when the feeling arises, whatever it is, act on it. When it's time to wake up, stop hitting the snooze bar and you won't be late for work. And then you want to fuss. I hit the snooze bar too many times and I overslept. Why didn't you get up on the first? Because I was tired. Why were you tired? Because I only had 3 hours of sleep. Why did you only have 3 hours of sleep? Because I didn't go to bed last night. I was binge watching something on Netflix. That was your choice, right? Yeah, but no but. Take accountability for your life as best you can. Yes, there are things going on that sometimes in order to make ends meet, we work 3 or 4 jobs so we don't get enough sleep. Yes, that is part of the process. And yet, even within there, but what can I do? What can I work on changing so that I no longer have to have that many jobs? How can I begin to be an effective change agent of the systemic ills so I can get a career? I can live my passion. I can do what I really want to do and take care of myself. So the appointment is every breath. The appointed time for us to begin the healing journey? Every breath. The appointed time to forgive? Every breath. The appointed time to reach out and communicate with? Every breath. The appointed time to whatever is every breath. There is no specific here, there. The appointed time is ever present. Every breath, every thought is the appointed time. So now, the appointed time to engage in the creative process, to engage in the mystery, to embark on the journey of living your best life. Every breath, every moment. Neil Donald Walsh says, you will see that it is who you have been, not what you have done, that matters to your soul. And you will see that it is your soul. That is who you are. And what this is speaking to is the idea many people qualify themselves based upon what they do. It's one of the reasons why, you go to certain functions. Hello, my name is Ray. What's your name? Greg. What do you do for a living? That's why we ask that question. Because we equate the doing with the person's value. How valid are they based upon what they do? That's why years ago, there was this controversy around, if I'm not mistaken, it was Michael Keaton who starred in the role, Mr. Mom, because the husband, the father, was a stay-at-home dad. What do you mean? That's women's work. Being a stay-at-home housewife, a stay-at-home mom, that's for her, not him. He's supposed to be out working. He's supposed to be the breadwinner. This binary concept of boys wear blue, they work, dump trucks, G.I. Joe. Girls wear pink, they make babies, they play with dolls. Boys get dirty, girls stay clean. Gender nonsense. And we get caught up in that because somehow we believe that what we do matters more than who we are. And who we are is based upon what we are. What are you? You are a divine incarnation of God. You are a divine incarnation of the universe itself. Period. Nothing else exists. That's who and what you are. Now, what do you do once you know that that's who and what you are? But the doing in the collective consciousness matters far less than the recognition of who and what you are. The who and what you are informs the what you do. Breathe. An amazing television show that I recently came across, We're Here, that featured these three drag queens and followed them as they went to a variety of generally small towns where there was like little to no gay representation, or it was a more conservative place in general. I mean, there were some places that were a little bit more liberal or whatnot, but the whole idea was, how do we begin to, one, support the LGBTQ folks in the region? Two, how do we begin to help people break down their preconceptions of what drag is or what it means to be LGBTQ, etc. And so these three avatars of consciousness showed up in a variety of places. Who you are informs what you do. Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. What is the world trying to make you? What is the world trying to convince you that you need to be that you need to be doing? What is the collective consciousness trying to shape you, indoctrinate you into? And then to recognize, but there is this aspect that is me. It is who and what I am. And how do I live that out loud, courageously and boldly, transparently and authentically? Breathe. Nietzsche says, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who couldn't hear the music, right? And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about hearing people or deaf people, right? Because one may say, well, wait a minute, deaf people can't hear the music. Yeah, for linguistic purposes, because we could say, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who couldn't connect with the divine inspiration within. Works the same way. But for linguistic convenience, we reference the hearing the music. Do you hear it? Do you feel the divine call that says, dance like no one's watching? Or even more, dance regardless of who is watching, because of who and what you are. Dance however you choose to dance. Doesn't matter. 2 left feet. Doesn't matter. Because if there are 2 left feet, aren't they still God's feet? Right? Like we say that in terms of, I don't have rhythm. I don't have, like, I'm always clapping on the, doesn't matter. Dance. Live your life out loud. Live boldly. Live freely. Live joyfully. Breathe. Dean Jackson says, when she transformed into a butterfly, the caterpillars spoke not of her beauty, but of her weirdness. They wanted her to change back into what she had always been. But she had wings. We are part of an evolutionary liberation theology. In this teaching, we often reference Ernest Holmes' teaching symbol and reference being open at the top, always part of and consciously participating in ever expanding consciousness. Do not allow whoever it is to bind you and enslave you, making you into what they want you to be. Oftentimes, there may be parents who want their children to play the same sports they did when they were children, but the child may want to learn ballet. The child may want to be an artist, an actor, an actress, a performer. The child may want to be a botanist. I don't want to be a police officer, Dad. I want to study plants. What kind of nonsense is that? And yes, when growing up in such an environment, there is the how do we navigate this? 1, remain true to you. Yes, while I am living in this person's home, I must abide by certain things until such time as I metamorph and my wings grow and I am free. And in the process, we change the system so that more parents understand. More parents are woke enough to understand that they need not force their children to conform to their ideas of success or whatever that is. There's a musical group, Sweet Honey in the Rock, many years ago. I was introduced to one of their songs, which is actually a poem by, I can't think of his name right now, but the poem refers to Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life, longing for its own. They come through you, but they belong not to you. And then it goes on. So I invite you to look them up and listen to the song, and feel free to find the original poet who wrote it, whose name escapes me at the moment. And watch, soon as this Sunday thing is done, it's going to ding pop into my mind, because I can see, because Khalil Gibran, that's who wrote it. Because I know it was there. Yes, so I invite you to actually read it. Listen to them sing it. Because as we shift consciousness, teachers and parents elevate in consciousness. There is no more need to conform. There is no need to indoctrinate, as Florida and many other places are now trying to change history and change education to indoctrinate children to think that slavery had redeeming qualities, that Columbus has redeeming qualities. Because there's a video going around from Prager University where there's a cartoon for children where Columbus is saying, slavery is better than death, is it not? And yet Ben Franklin said, give me liberty or give me death. Is this not why many of those who were kidnapped from Africa chose to jump off of the boat and die in the water rather than stay on, right? So let us be mindful that shifting consciousness effectively, having wings to be free, is what it means to be part of a liberation theology, part of sacred activism. What just happened? Something just happened, and I don't know what that was. Okay. Technical glitch. I don't know if it showed up for you or not, but technical glitch. Moving on. So once again, there's this idea of when you have wings, what is it that you are then called to do? What is your passion? What is your work? What is your creative endeavor that you are bringing to the world? What is it that is yours to do? Even when the naysayers show up, because they're going to show up. Until such time as consciousness truly shifts, they are going to show up. So as the paradoxical commandments say, if you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. So what? Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. So what? Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. So what? Do good anyway. And I added the next two. If you live your life, if you live your best life out loud, people will call you arrogant. Live your best life out loud anyway. If you follow the beat of your own drum, people will accuse you of all kinds of things. Follow the beat anyway. That is our invitation. Breathe. That's what it means to truly live your passion, to live your purpose, to live your divinity out loud. Emerson says Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. They were all misunderstood, because to be great is to be misunderstood. Say what now? Is this possibly why many of us refrain from our greatness? Because we would rather conform and fit in than be great and demand our belonging? Just a question. Now, my remix Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was misunderstood, and Malcolm X, and Grace Lee Boggs, and Medgar Evers, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Gene Roddenberry, and Fred Rogers, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood by some or by many. So what? Be great anyway. Are you not in great company when you are being great? Be great anyway. Do not feel the need to engage in codependent behavior, people pleasing. Emerge beyond that. Heal and emerge beyond that so that you are truly living your ultimate, greatest life possible. Because remember, when we know who and what we are, then it's informed. Then we know what is ours to do. So what am I supposed to do? Well, who are you being? Because your work, as Ernest D. Chu says, your work is to discover your work. And then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. Say what now? Your work. The practice is to discover that calling, to discover your passion and your purpose, or passions and purposes, and then to give your full heart to it. So you ask, well, what is my work? Well, rather than ask that, ask what calls to you? What inspires you? What is of interest to you? What motivates you? Begin with those, and you will find your work. Because what calls to you, what's of interest to you, speaks more about who you are. And when you know who you are, based upon what motivates you, what are you enthusiastic about, then you are able to see a clearer line to then what is it that is mine to do. And then you discover your work. And in the grand scheme of things, such as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was a minister. That was his work. He was a father. That was his work. He was a husband. That was his work. He was a civil rights activist and leader. Those two were his work. See, we need to break away from this idea that there is one thing and one thing only that each of us is supposed to do. We are multi-dimensional, multi-layered, vast spiritual beings. There are 19,000 possible, infinite possibility, 19,000 possible things that may be of interest to you, that call your work, that you are passionate about. That's yours. No one gets to tell you to turn your light down, that it has to be this way or that way because that's what's normal. Based on what? Forge your own path based upon what calls to you, what motivates you, what ideas you have about living your life. What are your ideas when it comes to who do I want to show up in the world as? Yes, I know that I am God individualizing itself, but when I show up, for example, the avatars that I mentioned not too long ago, the 3 drag queens, who they are and how they show up, the manner in which because each episode there was a different garb, a different way of showing up, and yet the divinity of them was always present. So what ideas do you have about how you show up, how you present and represent your divinity to the world? Because your ideas matter. Breathe. Ernest Holmes says, there is nothing from which to make things except ideas. In the beginning we behold nothing visible. There is only an infinite possibility, a limitless imagination, a consciousness. Your ideas create because you are the infinite creative potential that is life itself, incarnating as you. And we don't create. This individual doesn't create, but it participates in the vast creative process of all of creation, all of the universe, all of spirit. And that creates. It creates in us, it creates through us, it creates as us. That's why Yeshua said, I'm not the one doing this. I do nothing of my own, but I do this because of my Father who has sent me. He gave credit to the divine thing itself, which he called Father. Father does the healing, not me. I merely facilitate. I bring the energy and the space for the universe itself to do the work. So how are we engaging in this vast, limitless way of showing up? How are we bringing our ideas to the world? And your ideas are inspired direction, expressing as life-affirming action of spirit. That's what your ideas are. An inspired direction, expressing as life-affirming action of spirit. Do you give your ideas the space to be present? Leo Buscaglia says, whenever we are striving to remold a misshapen world to our higher visions, or simply living in dignity in spite of circumstances, we are at our very best. Ultimately, this is saying, moment by moment, how are we healing? Moment by moment, how are we evolving? Moment by moment, how are we living our best lives? No matter what's going on, yes, there is racism in the world. How are we living our best lives with equity and justice? Yes, during the time of slavery, yes, bound and lynchings were occurring and the Klan existed, and yet those who were the enslaved, the kidnapped, the terrorized were doing their best moment by moment in a misshapen world to live as joyfully, as happily, as hopefully as they could, keeping freedom. I may not know what it is as a lived experience, but I know what it is as a divine feeling. And I'm living my life in such a way that if I am not free, my children or their children will be. The infinite possibility, the hope for the misshapen to become sufficiently shaped, for the malaligned consciousness to be reshaped, to be reformed. No matter what it is, we have the opportunity to redo. If we mess up, we have the opportunity to address it and correct it. Just like in film, there are take one. It's a mistake, and you get to redo it. Take 35, action. Cut, take 67. Cut, take 112, mistakes. Until you get cut, that's a wrap. That was perfect. Are there errors? Yes. And we have the freedom to erase it in our consciousness, to eliminate it from our experience by evolving and by healing. We are powerful enough to do that. Now, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember this. Never mind. I didn't see it originally, but I have seen the film. Anyhow, nonetheless. Anyway, focus, Ray, focus. This particular scene, the young woman is singing to Fred Astaire. She says, "Nothing's impossible I have found, for when my chin is on the ground, I pick myself up, dust myself off, and start all over again." Do you do that? Do you pick yourself up? Well, to pick yourself up implies that you have fallen down. Do you dust yourself off? That implies that there is dust on you, that there is messiness. And are you willing to start all over again, right where you are, to heal, to forgive, to evolve, to learn? Are you willing? Are you willing to dance and sing that song? No matter who's listening, who's watching, no matter what the steps are. If your version of the electric slide looks like the electric stomp, then stomp. Doesn't matter. Reverend Ray says, embrace the mistakes, plant the seeds of your ideas, and be willing to harvest the plenitude of possibility, especially when being your great self makes you nervous. That's the precise time to do it. Sing even if you are off key. Dance even if you are off beat. Draw even if you can't draw a stick figure. Do it anyway if it's what you want to do. Live passionately with purpose as the divine individualization of God that you are. Breathe. This week's affirmation or declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, if you are in alignment with this, then say it with me on the second go round. Ready? I passionately and boldly share my purpose and my passion with the world. Together. I passionately and boldly share my purpose and my passion with the world. I do it anyway. And so it is. This week's questions that we end with: what are you saying yes to in your life? What are you saying no to in your life? What do you do to live in alignment with your passion or your higher calling? Number 3, how do you prioritize the various elements of your life? Is there a method of how to know what needs attention when it needs attention so that you are not burning the candle at both ends, per se? Number 4, what is something that you refrain from doing because you don't want to mess up? What can you do to push past that concept and learn to do it anyway? And then finally, do you consider yourself to be great and brave? What is the criteria by which you estimate your greatness and your braveness? Whether it is a yes, I am great and brave, or no, I am not. What is the criteria that evaluates that, assesses that? And what would you do today if you lived greatly and bravely? How would your life look? To manifest a life that works for you and a world that works for all, you are invited to be a what? And to do what? What is your call? What is your purpose? What is your passion to manifest exactly that? Breathe. And we enter into the space of truth. That space where the law is always saying yes. And the yes that the law is saying yes to right here and right now is, yes, I am courageous. I am brave. Yes, I live passionately out loud. Yes, I live boldly. Yes. Yes, I am willing and able to heal, to forgive, to transform. Yes, I have wings. Yes, I fly. Yes, I am part of the solution. Yes, I am that I am, ever becoming more and more of my great, grand, and glorious self. Yes. Yes, I shine my light. Yes. Yes, I dance my dance to the beat of my own divine drum. Yes. Yes, I sing my song. Yes. Yes, I show up in the world as a divine demonstration, as a 21st century New Thought Good Samaritan. I am here to serve and be of service. I am a beneficial presence in the world. Yes. Yes, this breath calls me into my divine appointment. Yes. Yes, I answer the call and attend the appointment. I have been appointed by the universe, which is incarnating as me, to do what I am here to do what I choose to live as I choose to live. Yes. And I do so with joy and gratitude, with compassion, wisdom, and creative ideas that transform my life and the collective. Yes. And knowing that the universe, knowing that the law, knowing that all of creation is acting on this right now because of this divine yes of the law, I know that that means it is already answered prayer. It is already done. And I breathe, and so it is. Namaste, blessings, much love and appreciation, everybody. See you soon.